Okay, you all, this is my second attempt at making this video because I was totally in the zone and somehow all my audio was just poof gone. And I know I checked it and it wasn't there. So I'm gonna do this message again in a more condensed, straight to the point way. So I wasn't planning on speaking on this topic, and it's the topic of should billionaires exist? Um, Obviously, New York elected somebody that this talking point went viral about. And then, funny enough, coincide at the same time, Jeff Bezos married Lauren Sanchez, who is a billionaire. And a lot of people at his party were of the uber resource wealthy, as I put it. And so I would say people saying, should they exist? Well, the first thing would be, I would say, is if you were a billionaire, would you be saying that? Okay. And then if you say yes, if you were a billionaire, you would still say that we should not exist, then you're a good, decent person. And then this other guy I saw covering the topic, he said, well, what's the end game? He's trying to figure out what's the end game as to, the cost of living not being affordable, the working class, not being able to get ahead or even survive, basically. And I'm here to give a very short, straight to the point answer, which is automation. Okay. Just like when you see those trending stores, those grocery stores, those McDonald's, those supermarkets that, have literal robots cooking food, placing the food, putting the food on the counter, or other types of industries. That's their end game. Okay. So what they're hoping is that regardless, some people, some human beings will eventually, inevitably, have kids, because they always end up doing that regardless. So the ones that are still human are still here, they'll obviously use as a fool to their own devices. But overall, this is why the way the world is going into, especially in America, which is where the Matrix template is the heaviest, and why we see so many ethnic people leaving America, living other places in the world for a better, higher quality of life and living lower living costs. That's why. So simply put, that's their whole game. Name of the game is they don't actually care about if there's enough people or not. They just say that because it's convenient for now. But obviously, somewhere in the very near future, if this dystopian kind of world continues, they'll just simply have a robot do it. They'll have a robot package the stuff, run the shops, run the restaurants. They already have these things up and running as a beta test, like a prequel to the actual shit going down. So when they make comments about like the population, that's just for now, because they don't have the full capabilities to run uber wealthy businesses with full automation, full robots, full other, beings that can handle the business for them. That's their easy plan. It's not hard to figure out. And funny enough, when I was covering the whole ethnic people topic yesterday, I felt like I would have a part two. I told you guys I probably would have a part two leading up to that. And even with Beyonce, who is a black woman, she literally, her first night back in the States, aka America, in her hometown to be exact, Houston, Texas, had a car malfunction where she basically almost died. And it was so interesting to me how everybody else made the comparison and said, well, when she was in Europe, all her shows were flawless. She never had these kind of issues. She didn't have these kind of weird, controversial takes around her residency, around her album. Like, she wasn't getting all this negativity. And that's why I've told you guys, like, that template is the heaviest in America. And that's why you see a lot of people who are spiritually inclined hearing the call to leave America, because it's really going to be the most rampant in America. Not that the whole world may not follow suit, but for the most part, it will not, because there's just certain ramifications and just ideologies and cultural norms and disnorms that they will just not allow. Whereas in America, it's kind of like a free for all. Like, I call it the wild, wild west. So even with, the most awarded Grammy nominated singer on the planet, that's why I was saying, like, for black and brown people, and I guess now, Asians and other races that are not what they, put on a pedestal, these are the reasons why I was saying, like, it's a trap, it's a trick, especially for those people who do not fall into their club, their clubs of dominance. And it's, it is basically rigged. It's kind of like saying either you're going to be rich with us and be a crummy person, or you're going to be a good person, get kicked out the club, and be isolated. There's really kind of like no in between, and we've seen that with other celebrities who, stand up for the working class. They protest, etc., etc. They miss out on certain business deals. They get blackballed. It's kind of like the same song and dance. So this whole population thing is kind of like a psyop, because they already know that they're going straight towards full automation, which basically includes devices, technological advances, robots that literally do everything we're doing for them without even having to pay these robots. They may have to pay to create the robots, to create the certain programmings or whatever, but ultimately they don't get a paycheck like you and me, right? They don't need a house, they don't need a food and a car and a spouse. They don't have the same needs. A robot does not have the same needs as a human being, a living, breathing human being. So that's where the end game is. That's why you see the world the way it is. And so I think naturally, if the public is gonna, and humanity is gonna say, should there be billionaires, I think the next natural evolutionary step would be to question, should we have millionaires? I think first it'll be billionaires, then it'll be millionaires, and we'll see where that goes. Is a miracle possible? Is change possible? Of course, but if there's momentum in an opposite direction, it's a lot harder to get back on track. You see what I'm saying? So that's why you see what you see. Not hard to figure out. So I would just say protect your energy. Don't get caught up in all these traps of materialism and trying to be a part of their club, because you never will. And if you are, they'll take you out eventually, just like they've done to thousands of other people who tend to be of color and stand up for what's right, and they get taken out the game. And that's just how it is in this plane. And so once you see it for what it is, you don't let money control you. You don't let somebody else's perception of you control you. You stand in your authentic power. So that's basically what I was trying to say. And what I was in short summary saying in that other video that I posted yesterday about ethnic people in particular need to really, get out of the trap and stop trying to be like them. Stop trying to go by their rules. This is the dystopian world that they want, and they're getting, actually, if this continues. So that's what it is. I just answered the guy's question. What is the end game? The end game is either way they're going to find some kind of technology where they can run their businesses without us. So they're not concerned about the lack of housing, the lack of this, the lack of that. That's not their reality. Okay. All right. Hopefully people understand. So yeah, even with people who are, like I said, that are brown and black celebrities who, are very, very, acclimated and have all this, awards and all this acclamation and stuff. Like, I told you guys, like, the second that they try to do the right thing, there's something somewhere trying to take them out. And it happened to Beyonce. She came right back from Europe and they basically almost killed her. That's basically what they basically tried to do. And everybody's catching on to that. So that is a part two of what I said yesterday. And there's a daily example of just a real world practical example of what I was trying to say, and how there's something about America, there's some kind of energy template in America that is built off of that, trying to take the good people out, especially if they are ethnic. That is just the energy here. And those who don't see it are maybe not meant to see it, but those who do see it are calling it out. Even Caucasian people are calling it out. And now most people are waking up and they realize that. And that's why a lot of people are getting the call to leave. Okay, that's what's happening right now. All right. Okay. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more. Definitely repost this video if you've seen this on TikTok, so someone else can see this message and share it. But the question is, should billionaires exist? What do you think? Should billionaires exist? Should even millionaires exist? That's the question of the day. All right. Love you guys. Bye.